So now the next day, after I let my coil pot dry a little bit, I unwrapped it, and now I am working with just a couple of simple tools to finish up the edges and the surface of my coil pot. And you see here I've got a simple number 2 pencil, a little sponge, I'm going to wipe the extra clay, and I'm also working with a couple of different paintbrushes. One paintbrush, I have it sitting in a cup, a red Solo cup with slip in it. And slip is a combination of water and little scraps of clay, and it creates what we call a clay glue. And the other paintbrush is just sitting in a cup of water, and that wipes off some of the extra little bits of clay that get stuck. And this process takes quite a while because you have to go over every edge and every little crack and detail. And so here I've got my paintbrush with this little bit of water, and I'm cleaning up some of my tool marks. And of course, this is going to be true on the inside and the outside, so you really want to make sure you're spending a lot of time cleaning this up. It is worth it in the end because the product is so much nicer than when you begin. So I'm just cleaning up some of that little extra slip and some of those extra tool marks. And by adding all of this water, you'll find with your piece, it's going to make your piece a little extra wet. So there's going to be a point where if it starts to feel a little bit floppy, you're going to want to go ahead and wait maybe another day or so to give it a little bit more of a final touch. This process, you will learn patience. So now I've let my clay dry for another day, and it's now dry enough that I can give kind of the final touches. And I have my favorite rib tool. It's kind of like a ceramics wooden stick that has a bit of a curve on the end. You could use a popsicle stick if you wanted, or maybe some kind of a wooden spoon, or just your hands if you can get your hands inside of it. And I'm just really making sure that it's smoothed out, and a little water, a little slip to kind of make sure those edges are all sealed off. And now that the clay is a little bit more set, I'm really looking closely at finer details. And just going back and forth between a pencil and a paintbrush, and back and forth a few times until I look at every line that I make and really make sure that I've cleaned them up. Because the coil pot is all about lines, it's really important that your lines look very clean and clear and expressive. You don't want to kind of smush them and erase those lines. So as you can see, I'm doing a little bit on the outside, a little on the inside, and always turning my pieces because I have to get every side of my coil pot. What I like about using a pencil is that because it's got kind of a triangular little end to it, it really gets into the grooves of the piece. And here I've got just an old credit card that I don't use, and I'm scraping off some of the stuff that sat on the bottom. Just kind of cleaning that up, smoothing that out, because the bottom matters too. And always, before I forget, I like to put my name in. And it's 2020, so I always put the date of the year that I've made it. And now there's a little bit of water left in the clay, and I'm just rubbing it quite a bit, just really making sure that I'm getting any extra lumps and bumps on the inside, as well as the outside, of course. So I think in total I probably spent, on finishing this piece, I probably spent about an hour and a half. Of course, I sped it up and I did edit it so you don't see all of the details and the time that I took in making this a better piece. But that's the kind of time that I always like to invest in my pieces, because I figure if you make it and you want it to last forever, it's worth the time and effort. And also, as you can see, I'm now in a different studio. I'm sitting in my backyard because the smoke is cleared and the weather is beautiful, and so I'm happy to be able to sit outside and enjoy that fresh air while I'm working on my ceramics. And I like to finish with just a little bit of water and just get any little tool marks. Make this as smooth as I possibly can. And so let it sit for a couple of hours in the sun and let it dry out. And now it's just dry enough that I'm rubbing my fingers over it and getting that final touch. And you'll see a finished coil pot.